Yeah, it's a picture of someone named Richard.
But we did put him on a top hat and a fake beard. There you
He's
go.
in his Sunday's best.
This is when I was in college. They were complaining that they were getting so many like pics and how much they hated it. So then I proceeded for the rest of the night of just sending them pictures of people named Richard. You'd be surprised how many famous Richards there are. So the whole night I just kept saying,
Richard Simmons. Richard Simmons. Richard Simmons.
Gary!
Welcome back to Not a Strong Start, a podcast by filmmakers who talk movies, television, and send people pictures of Richard. I'm your host. It's you, not me.
and I am not your host. No, it's me.
And I'm the other guy. No, it's you.
There you go. So in this week's episode, we are going to be talking about our love-hate relationship for some of these directors that we have. So that means they're going to have a movie that we love, but maybe they also came out with a movie that we hated. But first, we're going to hit you with a current event.
Right. This current event, it's about a product that's coming out at movie theaters, and you guys haven't seen it yet. So I am sending it right now into the chat so you can take a look at this product. What this is
I have
a
seen
Dune,
this.
this is a Dune popcorn bucket, and for those that are viewing this on YouTube, you will see the image here. That's the current event. What are your guys' thoughts of this product that's being released in honor of Dune to in the theaters? We'll
I
start
have a
with you.
question though. Is it
Yeah.
buttered for his pleasure?
Oh, it's butter for all pleasure.
This looks like a refurbished product. I don't think it originally came out as a Dune creature. I think it came out of something else, and they're just trying to mass sell it off because the local store next to your liquor store is no longer being able to get clientele. So it's refurbished, sir. That looks used.
You
So
know what
like
makes me
we
think
close.
of? You remember Mitch Hedberg, the comedian back in the day?
Yeah.
He had this joke about Pringles cans. He's like, I think the Pringles owner, originally had gotten like a bunch of containers, but he got the wrong containers. They were sent like tennis ball containers. And he's like, you know what? Fuck it. Let's roll with this shit. Start making fucking Pringles or whatever. And that's how Pringles was created instead of like tennis balls. Some stupid shit. But in either case, that's what I think of with this. I think that this was sent to the movie theaters and they're like, we got to put popcorn in something, right? We got.
It was meant for the shop that was at 800 like Willow Street, and instead they sent it to 80 Willow Street,
Yeah.
which was the movie theater. They're like, we might as well make it work. Just paint it gray, and we'll say it's from Dune.
Yeah, but here's the smart thing about this, okay? Because normally when you get these kind of like, popcorn bucket, like whatever these little things are, you have it in your house. How many times do you actually use it? Not that often. But somebody came up with the idea of
Popcorn bucket, not used for popcorn.
Yeah, so it sits there on the shelf. This person is like, I'm gonna find a different way to be able to make sure that the owner still uses it. And alas, we have an outgrowing butthole. A prolapse, have you?
2 weeks later, theaters suffering from a butter shortage.
Butter storage. There you go. So let's put a pin in that one. Let's get into our main topic. So we're going to talk about directors, movies that we love, movies that we hated. George, let's go first with you.
Lemois.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I guess I'll knock this one out of the way because I like Christopher Nolan. I think we all like Christopher Nolan. So the obvious good, The Dark Knight. Christopher Nolan took the superhero genre and proved that it could be more than just a popcorn flick. This was possibly one of the first ones to get an Oscar nod, towards a supporting actor, and it deserved it very much. I've always loved this director. Should have been a
Best Picture that year.
It should have been a Best Picture, honestly. Yeah, I've watched this movie so many times. This movie came out around the same time when the iPod Video was very popular, which was that little screen that was like 2 inches by 2 inches. I got The Dark Knight on Blu-ray, and it came with a free digital version. I popped that on my iPod. I'd go to work, and I'd be watching The Dark Knight during lunch on this little dinky screen. That's how much I love that movie.
Yeah, and here's what you didn't know. George didn't need glasses then. He needs glasses
I do now, baby.
After watching that movie.
Thanks, Apple.
Think, and you're just
So, so,
cross-eyed.
so did it look like Batmite instead?
Oh man,
Mite
it
Man.
was not the way to watch that movie. Not with how beautiful that thing was shot. But I love that movie, and everyone loves that movie. It's undeniable how good that movie is. From Ledger's performance to his directing, it's phenomenal. Which is what makes the bad one so sad.
I'm very curious because I tried to look into Nolan's collection and there wasn't one that I can say like, oh, I don't like this movie.
I
So I'm
know
very curious what it is.
it's the same movie, but The Dark Knight Rises. That movie for me is a horrible, horrible film. I despise that movie. I've watched it only once, and that was in the theaters. I think you were with me, Jose, when we watched it.
Yeah.
And I can't with that movie. I can't. It is I just don't appreciate it in any way. Granted, yes, the actors are fine. They all do their jobs, but Nolan has a hand in the writing. It's not just like it's one person writing the film and he's coming in to direct it. No, he puts his hands in every aspect of the film. And for me, the writing for that film is just so bad. And there's just certain aspects of it that don't make any sense whatsoever for a guy who's so smart. Like he overthinks everything. You know, we've talked about it before, how him and his brother freaking got degrees so they could do Interstellar. You know, like this is how serious they take their films. And then this happened. This movie that made no sense whatsoever. It was just an atrocious piece of crap for me. Granted, I know that people like it. You guys probably love it. That's awesome. I wish I had that brain so I can appreciate it too. But goddamn it.
You mean the smooth brain? The butt baby brain?
See, I didn't want to say that. I wanted to be nice. I love you guys. You're my brothers. But yeah.
But you guys about as smooth as
Yeah.
cheese.
Now, okay, Love is going too far.
Agreed.
I think out of his entire filmography, that's probably his weakest movie. But I don't hate the movie. I don't think it's horrendous. It's bad by Nolan standards, but as a movie itself, like I feel 2/3 of that movie is a really good movie, and then they just really botched the third act, which is what dropped it heavily. Uh, but for me personally, comparing it in general to movies and on its own, I don't think it's horrendous. I think it's just bad by Nolan standards.
That's
Which is
fair.
it's a high bar. It's a pretty high bar.
Yeah.
Very
I,
hard.
I feel the same way. I mean, Nolan's hit on like every movie that I've seen of his, especially dating since backs of Memento. So his movies are awesome. I didn't love Dark Knight Rises. I had issues with it as well, but in no way would I say I dislike it. I just can't say I really, really liked it as well. I don't think it had a strong finish. So I don't think he quite caught the ending for it. I had issues with Anne Hathaway's Catwoman. That was one of my biggest gripes with it as well, on top of some of the writing and things that he laid out for it. The first two movies were so damn good. So
Yeah.
I understand why, but like hate is a very strong word. And even just using for this in general, like I want to preface this with all of our movies, hate is a very strong word. I don't really hate a lot of movies, but there's some where I'm like, ugh, I really dislike that one, or man, that one was really bad.
I'm glad you said that too, because when I
I pretty
talked to
much
my wife
hate the
about
ones on my
this,
list. I just want to say that. Okay?
see, I'm like Dan. I actually don't hate a lot of movies, or I don't really hate most things, because I agree, hate is up there with love. It takes work, it takes passion to like
Mhm.
feel that way about something. I think with this one, it's an utter disappointment. You know, and hate it's very overboard. But that's why
Yeah.
when Jose wrote the structure for this was the wording he used. I was like, damn, I gotta use the word hate, I guess. Like,
You got to use strong wording,
yeah,
get the
Yeah.
point across.
yeah. But like, I feel you, Dan. I'm very much in a
Yeah.
similar boat.
All right, I'm gonna go with Ridley Scott.
Mm.
Movie that I love from Ridley Scott, of course, is Alien. Love it. Can I've watched it nonstop. Can't say enough good things about that movie. Holds up till this day. Still has the tension. Still has the creepiness to it. Still one of the best creature creations in a movie that there is. The xenomorph is iconic. That being said, within the same series, also one of the worst alien movies that I've seen, Prometheus on that one. And I absolutely, the movie just comes off as the most pretentious piece of crap that I have seen. It almost seems like it wasn't trying to be a movie. It was just trying to be a philosophy lesson. It was like, forget entertainment, forget all that. I am just gonna lecture you and get into the meaning of life and creation and all of this stuff. I don't want that from an alien movie. And I think that's where a lot of my dislike for this movie stems, is you're taking this property that is alien, that was so fun. And by fun, I don't mean like silly, but it was just so enjoyable in its horror, or even when they went more action, it was still very enjoyable. So you took this piece and you made it as stale, boring, and disappointing as possible. And that's where a lot of my dislike stems from it. It was like, if you wanted to do that, make it its own separate thing. Don't ruin what Aliens was. And my God, every time I think about that movie, it's just my blood boils.
He gets angry. Yeah. I obviously love Alien. I love the fact that Alien existed as a creature and a monster that lived in space. The fact that he tried to make it seem like it was genetically created, like in a lab, that really pissed me off. And when I first saw Prometheus, I was like, okay, I'm trying to like this here, like I'm liking the actors in this. I'm trying to give it a shot. This is pretty good. And then as I rewatched it a couple times, I'm like, man, I have issues with it. I don't like the prosthetic designs of like these perfect beings. Like they look weird. They look like meatheads. Like I'm just like, I'm not feeling this much at all, man. I agree with you, Jose. I agree with you. Again, hate, it's like I've seen it like twice, I think maybe 3 times in my life, and like I'm probably never gonna go back to it again. I'm looking more forward to the series. I hope they kind of rebound a little bit, because I've been like dying for some new xenomorph in my life. So
Yeah, again, we're using hate just for the intensity of the word,
and clickbait.
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, it's pure clickbait. But the extreme dislike of this movie was to a point that I never needed to see it more than once. Once was
Same.
enough for me to
Same.
say, I'm done with you. That's it. Wiping my hands.
Yeah, that was a one and done for myself too, man. That was another. It's a waste of a cast. How stellar was that cast? They're so good. Like, in just thrown away, just thrown
Mhm.
away. That's it. I remember seeing the promotions for that movie, and they had Guy Pearce like as like regular Guy Pearce, and then with the prosthetics of the makeup and everything, and it kind of had me intrigued. Like, oh, what's happening here? See the Wayland Industries. I was like, oh man, new Alien film. I was getting so pumped with the promotions, and then the movie happened, and I was like, oh, the promotions they teased the crap out of me. This was a freaking not gonna finish.
No Doom popcorn for you.
Nope.
Exactly. So the director that I chose, Darren Aronofsky. So Jose, you
Oh,
already
I
I
know
know where
know
this is
this
going.
one.
this
I know
was
what it
the
is.
controversial movie that was way back up in our group already.
Uh,
The movie I'm gonna love. He has a lot of them, but I'm gonna go with Black Swan. Love Black Swan. My favorite from him. Probably one of the best well-directed movies in the last like 15 years. I think it's just so beautifully crafted. So the editing, the technical parts of it, I can go into detail about it. The storyline is not super original, but I think it was more the technical, the way he filmed it. Even the camera motion felt like you were kind of bouncing around like a dancer, sort of like exactly kind of mirroring the movement of the dancing. Very, very phenomenal stuff. The movie that I hated, and that's probably this is about as close to hate as I felt for a movie, was the movie Mother. And so many people hated this movie. I wasn't the only one. All of us THM guys went in to watch this movie. We were all so hyped for Darren Aronofsky, and we all walked out so angry. Like the movie literally made us mad. And it came at a time when Darren Aronofsky felt a little shunned from Hollywood. So this was kind of like he was going through his own emotional stuff. So he said F you and wanted to make a movie that was so clearly he was emotional. And you can read that in the movie. Even Jennifer Lawrence, after the movie, after they broke up, said, I didn't understand the script when I read it, but I trust him because he's a genius. So I did it. That's your lead actress that said this.
So he was feeling shunned and emotional. So he decided, as revenge, I will punish people with this movie.
Yes. Like, talk about pretentiousness. Oh my God, Jose. Like, this movie just reeked. And like, that is the epitome. That's the example I say when people are like, well, how do you consider a pretentious movie? That's a pretentious movie. That's a pretentious movie.
Like Dan mentioned, we watched this together. There's a group of like five of us, I believe, 4 or 5 of us that watched it. Thi- This was the first time that all of us watched the movie together, where not a word was said from the point that we left the theater to the car. It was just silent rage amongst all of us. No one even wanted to make eye contact with
No.
each other. And it was like, whose idea was this? It was all that was going through our
And that was
heads.
everybody in the theater. Everybody just quietly got up and just quietly shuffled out. That was the most silent I've ever heard a movie theater. There was no talking, no chattering. Hey, what did you think? Everybody knew what we all thought. We all thought it. We all thought it. There was no thing to rehash and relive this experience.
The theaters, the ushers, they hired counselors to wait outside for everyone.
That's how they made the Dune popcorn
Uh,
buckets.
So this is gonna be controversial, but I don't hate that movie.
You're one
Yeah.
of three.
Yeah,
George.
it's funny because this was Jen brought this up to me because she's just like, because she hates that movie, and I'm trying to make this list, and she's like, "Well, Darren Aronofsky, you love his films, but there's that one movie, that one movie." I was like, "Yeah, but I don't hate it." I was like, I don't even dislike the movie. I think it was
You liked it.
I kind of did. I can say it took me time though. In the moment, I didn't like it because it was too soon for me to have watched that movie. I saw it at a time where like that year, I think I may have lost both kids that time. So it with the stuff with the baby, that was too soon. Like I was emotional during that viewing. But over time, I was able to go back to it, and it's like, all right, this was definitely, like I said, high concept. This is something that could have been like on a stage production. I felt like in the round kind of thing. Like you just felt like a theater kind of thing, not something that you would put necessarily on film. But that's ambitious, what he was going for. But I get it. I get why people don't like it. I totally understand. This is not made for like the average film goer, and possibly not even like the super film buff. This is for a specific crowd. This is for a small community that this is gonna really resonate for too.
You say high concept, but not even that way will I want to watch it again.
Yeah. It's like him and his counseling team is basically what it was. The people that he sat there and went to therapy with.
All right, I'm gonna go to Dan's home turf now, and I'm going with Quentin Tarantino. And he actually has some films that I really enjoy. It's hard to believe, but I love Django Unchained. Like, who doesn't? It's such a fun movie. That was probably the second movie he came out with where I was just like, oh wait, he can make good movies that I would like. All right, I see you, Quentin. Huh?
What was the first one? What was the first one?
Inglourious Bastards. Yeah, that was the first movie. I was like, okay, all right, caught my attention. He made Django. I was like, all right, I'm here. What else you got for me? What else you got? And since then, he's been on a roll for me.
Isn't that the line from that movie? Like, you had my attention, now you have my interest, or something like that. You have my interest and you have my attention.
Yeah.
And that's how I feel with him. And with Django Unchained, man, freaking, oh man. Even like Leonardo DiCaprio. Granted, I was already a fan of Leo at this point. Like, he had won me over in Catch Me If You Can. But like, he was like a whole other person. He transformed for this fucking movie. And I loved every inch of it. It was just so good. It was beautifully shot. The colors in it, like the colors pop in this movie. Everything is just like jumping out at you, and I enjoy it so much. But as for the other movie, I could have picked any movie, honestly, from his catalog that would have maybe upset me. But this one really pushed me to a place where I was like, oh, and that was Death Proof. I saw Death Proof in the theaters with the whole like Grindhouse thing. And you watch Planet Terror, and then you get Death Proof afterwards. Planet Terror was so good.
Still good.
Yeah, and it still holds up. It's such a fun movie.
Mm-hmm.
and then you to have Death Proof follow it up. It's like, what is this shit? Are you serious? Are you serious right now? It's like, especially like he's known for like intense gore. I don't say gore, but like his violence is through the roof. So I was expecting that kind of level in this movie. I was like, nothing happens. Why are we talking so much? Why are
What
we
a waste
talking
of
so
Kurt. What a waste of Kurt Russell.
Seriously, two
Oh,
Kurt
man.
Russells. He wasted
Yeah.
2 Kurt Russells.
Yeah.
I've only watched it
shouldn't
once,
waste-
but I won't forget.
Yeah.
The
You
best part of
shouldn't
that
waste
whole
one
movie.
Kurt. Definitely don't waste 2 Kurts.
You raced 2.
And he teased me because the opening scene of that movie with the freaking tire just wasting that girl's face, I was like, oh snap, it's about to go down. And then after that, it's just a bore fest. I was like, what is this? And he had a stunt person, I can't remember her freaking name, but the stunt actor in there who's phenomenal. She's the one like hanging on the roof of the car when they're doing the car chase.
She did stunt for Kill Bill.
She's so good. And
Yeah.
it's like, why we just wasted her? Like, there could have been an amazing like fight scene. The only fight scene you're gonna get is them just beating the crap out of Kurt Russell. That's it. And he had no chance.
With the cheesy little bump banana, and it sounded like the end of a
Mhm.
TV series.
Yeah.
And they're beating him up.
He didn't
Yeah.
escape LA for that.
No, he did not. He needs to go back into LA.
But yeah, I can't with that movie. I despise it. And my hatred for it is justified because he too does not like that movie. So it's okay.
He actually said it. He doesn't like it.
He in an interview he was asked like which movie did he think was the worst in his filmography, and he put Death Proof as the one.
Yeah. I think it's obvious.
So he gets it.
That is funny. I'm kind of, out of us 3, I'm kind of in the middle. You dislike the majority of Tarantino movies and like 2. Dan loves like all of them. And
Not
then
all of
I'm
them,
in the
but most of them.
I'm in the middle where it's like half his stuff I like and half his stuff I don't like. But if I had to pick the worst one, it would be Death Proof also.
Yeah, for me, it's funny that you say it. So in Django, I love Django, and Django's like slid in there in the top 4 of his movies that like I just love going back to a lot. The ones that are my least favorite, the ones that I don't really like, Jose. So there are a few. It's Death Proof is my least favorite, and then The Hateful Eight. The Hateful Eight, I'm like,
Yeah.
I saw it once. I can appreciate the filmmaking aspect of it, like good acting, but it's just like I got it. And then I went back to watch it a second time. I'm like, okay, I really didn't get anything new out of this. Like once you kind of get how the ending's gonna go, nothing happens. Death Proof, I rewatched it again, maybe about a couple months ago, because I was like, okay, was I too harsh on it? Because I haven't seen it in a while. I rewatched it and I was like, nope, it's exactly what I thought. It didn't improve at all. It's exactly what it is. Like you said, that opening scene was so awesome. And then you see when you kept doing like the glitches and okay, here's what I started noticing. What really bothered me about this is Planet Terror got it right in terms of your grindhouse movie. It felt like an old movie. This one, outside of throwing a filter and a couple of missing frames and like angles and like continuity issues that you clearly did on purpose, the girl's using a cell phone. So there's certain technology pieces that you're using that completely take me out of it and make me realize the current time that this is happening is not passing the time. They wouldn't have a cell phone back in the 70s. So this can't really be a grindhouse movie. You know what I mean? So now it feels like you added this stuff, and that cell phone thing really bothered me this last time that I watched it. And it's just like, okay, you can't even get that right. Everything else is like you're putting on this whole facade, and that's just the dead giveaway. And it's just I couldn't do it.
Yeah, because when you watch it, like their clothes feel dated at times with what they're wearing. But that's so true with that aspect right there. It stands like a sore thumb.
Yeah, it really does.
This time Dan watched it and he was like, I wasn't harsh enough.
I should have been harsher.
I want to have a little fun with my next one because the movie I picked for the love, it's not the greatest movie around, but this movie holds a special place in my heart, and I do rewatch it quite often. And I'm going with Michael Bay, and the movie that I'm going to pick is Armageddon.
Oh, okay.
If you were to judge this critically on just being just a movie itself, is it an amazing movie? No, but it just does so many things right to purely entertain you. And the cast is great. The chemistry with the cast working together. It's such a good for a movie that's so silly. It's such a good emotional moment at the end that if I watch it, it still gets me a little. I still feel a little scratch, you know. But the movie is just so good, and it still holds up. You know, I watched it. I want to say towards the middle of last year, and I was still just as entertained. You know, I can watch that ensemble together, just like doing anything, and I'll be entertained. Everyone worked so well as it was. So I have to go with Armageddon.
Wait, I'm at the edge of my seat right now for you to tell me what Michael Bay movie you hated. He has
What
one in
could
his
there be?
catalog? What?
This was actually very difficult to do
To decide which one to go
Yeah.
with.
because I didn't know which Transformer I wanted to go
Oh
to.
my
Go with.
god.
Yeah, I had to go. There was one that stood above the other Transformers as the worst that there is, and that is Transformers: The Last Knights. That's the one I believe that brought Wahlberg in for the first time.
Yeah.
You have, and this applies to pretty much most of the series. You have a sci-fi action movie about giant robots from another planet coming to Earth, fighting other giant robots from another planet with cool names like Decepticons, and they turn into jets and cars and all of that shit. How do you make that boring? How? You've got all the that's like fucking up a bowl of cereal. You put the ingredients together and you let it work as magic. That's it. But no, somehow he found a way to make all of these elements that should lead to pure fun, and you made it a bore fest. And not just a bore fest. You're like, you know what? Forget just making it boring. I want to make it almost 3 hours of boring. And that's what we get with these Transformer movies. So yeah, oh, it runs deep.
You know, with that one, he took out like his comic relief like in the first like what 10-15 minutes. It's like he just kills him. And it's like, well, that was the guy who probably would have entertained us.
Yeah, he was like, no entertainment for you.
Are you not entertained? No, I'm not.
It's like good.
Good.
No, man, I agree with you on that. Every time they fought, I couldn't tell what was what. Like they needed like color, they needed like make them brighter in colors. It was just like a mishmash of moving parts and sounds, and I was like, I can't tell what I'm looking at. It felt like the movie Venom, you know, when like the when you had them like I can't tell what I'm looking at, my eyes can't decipher, you're moving too quick. The Transformers movie, I liked the first one. The second one was okay. The rest of them got oof. I wasn't a fan of any of the ones after that, except for Bumblebee, but he didn't do Bumblebee.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, well, funny enough, the last two that did not involve him, Bumblebee and I think Rise of the
the
Beast,
Beast.
were better than pretty much all of the original series that Michael Bay brought into the picture.
So the one that I'm gonna go with Francis Ford Coppola. This guy had Godfather 1, Godfather 2, amazing. It's still arguable now. You still have great debates about which one's better, part 1 or part 2, and there's no easy consensus, right? Sort of like how you have Alien and Aliens, even though a lot of general audience tends to favor Aliens, I still think there's a really good counter argument to argue Alien could be better. Really just depends how you decipher this. Godfather 1 and Godfather 2, there really is no answer for this. If it's a Tuesday, it's Godfather 1. If it's a Thursday, it's Godfather 2. I can't figure it out. Such excellent casting, such excellent acting, the writing, the pacing, everything was made so well. Then he made part 3. So the one that I hate, part 3. He wanted Winona Ryder to play Corleone's daughter in it. She didn't do that. So who did he cast? He casted his daughter, Sofia Coppola. She's in the movie, and we now know why she's not an actress. No offense, Sophia. In case you're listening to our podcast, you're a great director. But no, when you see part 3, it's just like, oh my God. Like it was the epitome of that was one of the first movies or franchise that I can remember where you took a beloved character and you just like aged them and saw them in this ugly place that I didn't want to see them in. And to see the ending of what you do with this character, oh man, you butchered my hero. Like you butchered that and it like tarnished it or like, ugh. So I just have to pretend that part 3 doesn't exist because I hate it that much. Part 3 doesn't exist in the Godfather franchise.
I mean, I don't think anyone can disagree with that.
I say that I've only seen part 3 once. It's the only one that I have not gone back to ever.
Good. Save yourself the
I
grief.
can say I've watched it multiple times. That's only because in my household, and my dad still does this till this day. He watches every year a marathon of the trilogy for like his birthday.
Of Godfather?
The Godfather trilogy, yeah.
Oh, really?
He's watched all 3 on his birthday, like almost till as far back as I can remember.
And
So
he loves the third one?
He loves the Godfather series.
Even the third one?
Yeah. Well, let's just make this clear. My dad's not me. I may look like my dad, but we're not the same person. Like, as critical as I am with movies, my dad is super forgiving with movies. He just loves, like, my dad has this love for cinema that has no bounds for some reason. But it's the opposite of me. Like, I love cinema the way we all do in this group. We love the mechanics of what it is to make a film, the artistry, all the intricacies that puts a film together that makes it what it is. My dad is just, he just loves the magic of it. It's just like movies. They are here.
Cinema paradiso.
That's it.
Like cinema paradiso.
He just loves it. He just loves movies. That's it.
Yeah.
So for him, he doesn't see what we're seeing. You know, he's not seeing the bad actors. He's just seeing Al Pacino because he loves Al Pacino. He's like, that's my boy, Al Pacino, doing his thing, and that's it. And he's happy. That's all he needs. That's all.
And there's nothing wrong with that. That just means he has more movies to watch than we do.
Yes, he does. So my third one, I'm going with Jim Cameron. His For the Good, obvious Terminator 2. I mean, what else is there? Granted, he has some good movies under his belt. I consider him the king of the sequel because he's taken movies that have already been made awesomely, and he comes in with part 2 and knocks it out of the park. Terminator 2 is that film. It's the quintessential action movie. I love that movie so much. I love that movie so much that when it came out and I was younger, I ran like this for like years. Right? I was like in track and field, like in my 8th grade year, and I was just like that, super serious with my hands, and everyone thought I was
all the
stupid.
kids are watching, like, look at that. His face never moves. His face never moves.
And it's like, neither of his legs either. It's just his hands. It's just
it's just his arms. And you're just there in math class in the back seat.
No, I just love that movie. What he did with that movie, like, he made you care about a character you're not supposed to care about. The Terminator was the bad guy. Now he's the good guy, and he's falling down in this metal lava pit, and you're seeing the hand, and you're like, no, save him.
He's in pain.
Yeah, it's like you wanted him to survive. The way you feel for this machine was so much, which is what makes the next film mind-blowing of like, how did he mess this up? And that's Avatar. I despise Avatar so much. And I was hating that movie before it was cool to hate on that movie, because now everyone's like, oh yeah, I don't like that movie either. Yeah, it's not that good. When it came out though, everyone's like, this is the movie. This is the best movie ever, the best 3D graphics, the best CGI, it's the best everything. I had friends telling me, it's like, George, you're an artist. This is your movie. You're gonna love this movie. This is the best movie ever.
I hate it when people tell me this is your movie before I even watch it. It's like, don't tell me what my movie is.
I watched it and I was like, this is okay. I'm watching Pocahontas. Okay, yeah, on another planet. All right.
I saw Ferngully.
It's
exactly
okay. It's pretty, I guess, but the all of this special technology that he created, there's zero heart in this movie. Like, I had no feelings towards anyone in this movie. I didn't care about anyone. I was like, the humans can die, the Navika, whatever they are, could die. I don't care. Just let them all just blow up the whole planet. I don't care. I didn't care about anyone in this movie. Like, how did you have so much heart in Terminator 2, but yet in this movie, soulless? Makes no sense. And they gave it sequels. Why? There's a video game for it. I don't want to be these people.
There's Rise at Disney World.
I can't argue with you on that. When that movie first came out, I was a little pumped when it first came out. I was like, oh, okay, all right. And then I watched it. And I was heavily impressed because at that time, the technology and the visual aspects that were used were groundbreaking at that time. But that is all it had going for it. It just felt so generic. I agree with you, George. There was no connection with me as a viewer to the movie itself. It was just more like, okay, this looks cool. But then eventually technology caught up to what they did there. So now the movie just really has nothing to make it stand out because the story was already generic. And then now that technology, the visuals you get from it are just outdated. So to this day, the people that are right now be like, oh my God, I still love Avatar. I don't get it. I don't understand it. I haven't even watched the second one or have no interest in watching the second one because I just really did not enjoy the first one.
Oof. I
Oof.
First of all, so True Lies is a movie that should have had a sequel as well. I love True Lies. I
True
wish
Lies
that
is
one would have
great.
gotten a
I
sequel.
love True
Yeah, I
Lies.
love it. I wish we would have gotten a sequel to that one because I think it would have been super badass. Regarding Avatar, the story to me, it's Ferngully. Like it's literally almost exactly like Ferngully, even to the point where you see the humans and the machines tearing down the trees. Exactly what happens in Ferngully. Felt exactly the same. When the movie came out, I liked it a lot more. As time's gone on, it's just like I become so numb to it. Like, Then you start looking at the story, the dialogue, and everything else. I thought Zoe Saldana did great. I thought she did good in it, and her acting was good in it. That's it. I'll give you that. That's all I
I,
got.
I will say this. I think my dislike for the movie, like I didn't like it when it first came out, but I wasn't like, I hate this movie. I became very indifferent towards it. But then I started to really dislike it because it kept getting released, and every time a movie would surpass it in the box office, they would release it again for a few weeks, and that started my like disdain for this movie started to grow when it was like, you had your time, get over it, like let someone else get there. Why do you keep re-releasing?
But
Jose,
that's
let
that's
the hate flow
that's a
through you.
Cameron tactic.
Yes.
Cameron does that. When Titanic came out, that was like the number one
I know.
movie. Some years passed, it got surpassed. It's like, gotta re-release Titanic. It's like, dude, like other people could be number one. You don't have to be number one all the time.
Oh,
All
he
right,
has to be.
you
If
had
he's
your
not
time in the
first,
sun.
he's last. He gets like the alerts on his phone. Oop, Titanic immediately puts a call in and it already gets released the next day.
I'm gonna go with David Ayers. I'm gonna reverse it and start with the bad because I feel it's very obvious. And the bad is going to be the first Suicide Squad that he did for DC. Bad really does it justice. It needs a new word for the level of horrendousness that was in that movie.
Doing popcorn top.
Yeah.
Hey, that's a good
Now,
time, baby. That's
It's
I will say this. I will preface this with I don't put the full blame on David Ayers. It's well known now that this movie was heavily interfered with, and the final product that we got is most likely nowhere close to the product that David Ayers had originally created or intended to create. So I don't put it full on David Ayers, but I'm including it here because his name is on it in the end. But this movie was horrible. Everyone was hyped about it because the trailer that was cut made it look like something that it wasn't. Then they ended up going in and Frankensteining the movie and just creating this thing that it felt like three different movies that just got smashed into each other. And whatever wreckage was left is what we ended up getting with the Suicide Squad. The humor felt forced. The action wasn't great. You had Margot Robbie and Will Smith in there, and they couldn't even save the movie, no matter how much charisma they had. And then you had a horrible third act in there where they decided to go against everything that this squad is supposed to be, which is supposed to be like some black ops, more grounded unit. And they were like, no, let's just go big, world dying, supernatural devastation. Let's go that direction. There was really no redeeming qualities in this movie. And I did see it kind of like them with Death Wish. I gave it another try in the future. Like maybe I just saw it through the wrong lens. Maybe I was just disappointed. No, No, the score got lower the second times
You
I
weren't harsh
watched it.
enough. You.
Yeah. And then us getting the James Gunn Suicide Squad, there's just such a stark difference in the way both of those movies were handled and the entertainment value in both of those movies. It made that one look even worse. So that would be the worst. The favorite in there's actually I was debating between two movies. I was debating maybe Fury, but I ended up going with End of Watch. This movie doesn't get a lot of attention. I feel it's very underrated. It's kind of like a found footage movie. It's recorded in a very gritty way. It's very grounded. The chemistry between Michael Pena and Hall is really good, where you care about these characters. It's like it's ends up being like a ride along with these characters the entire time. So you're there, you're their partner. And the way everything plays out, you become emotionally invested in the characters and their struggle and their survival, which makes like the third act hit really hard. So every once in a while, I'll go and rewatch this movie and it still has the same impact. It's so simple yet so like powerful of a movie.
Yeah, man. I feel like with Suicide Squad, it's hard to give it. You can't put the full blame on David Ayer. I think they gave him like 2 weeks to write the damn script. They gave him like 4 weeks, I think, of production. But still, like, this is the idea you had. He was not, I don't think he was the right fit at all to do Suicide Squad. The only redeeming quality thing that I'll get out of it was Harley Quinn. I thought Margot Robbie did good as her. That's about it.
She
The
was the right
Joker.
casting. Yeah.
Yeah, she was the right casting. I thought she understood the character well, and that came about, pretty well. I also don't mind Viola Davis in it. I thought she did pretty good at, in it as
Yeah.
well. But man, like they had Cara Delevingne, like that was just no. The Killer Croc was like no. It was just so many things that just like wasn't working
Will
for it.
Smith was like, no.
Yeah, I didn't even love Will Smith in it either, and it just sucked. And of course, when I first heard that Jared Leto was going to do the Joker, I was like interested just because I know how much he really goes into the role. Not that necessarily was convinced he was going to do a good job. I was just kind of excited to see a different, rendition of this. Then you kind of saw him, with the hand and stuff. It's like, okay, I kind of have an idea. I didn't realize he was going to be full gangster. And then when we saw the movie or the trailer, I was like, "Oh my god, what the hell is this?" Ooh,
That's a terrible 5 minutes.
it's a
Yeah,
terrible 5 minutes.
that's why I feel that because they've been petitioning now for like the Ayer cut to get released. I don't want an Ayer cut. You guys you're being really nice towards Ayer and thinking that he had a good film in there. I don't think he had a good film in there because at the end of the day, he still wrote and directed most of this thing. He was the one who still allowed Jared Leto to be what that thing was. Whatever that was, it wasn't a Joker. He let it happen. I feel if we have an Ayer cut, we're just gonna have more of that. I don't want any more of that. I don't want to see any rendition of what that's supposed to be. It is horrible, And if the villain wasn't supposed to be Cara Delevingne and her mystical hoodoo, then what was the villain supposed to be? I'd like to know what it was. If it was something different, it'd be great to know what it was. But at the same time, I don't want to go through that 2-hour journey to figure it out.
And it's just another, glowing thing in the sky, and we have to stop it. Like, oh my god, like we've mocked that so many times, and we still see that. And then the villain Glob guys look like straight out of a Power Ranger, like the Power Rangers movie. Like, it just looked bad. It was just like, come on, man,
DC
no.
movies like their globs.
So here's the one that I have. I don't think it's who you think I was gonna go with, Jose. So I'm going with Lena Wachowski.
Oh no,
Which
it's
was
not.
the Wachowski brothers. So, guess what movie I love? So, first, I'm going to start with the movie Bound. Everybody knows The Matrix is awesome. I love what they set up with the movie The Matrix and the world building that they did in the first one, I think is freaking phenomenal. The first 20 to 30 minutes of that movie is one of the best 20 to 30 minutes in a movie, like one of my favorites. The whole follow the white rabbit, how they set up that was so freaking genius. The whole mouth, how his mouth formed over his, and he couldn't talk, and they did so many cool visual things where it's just like, what the hell am I watching in the best of ways? But the first movie that they did was a movie Bound. Bound is awesome. That's like an underrated movie that not enough people have seen, but I love those two movies. What movie do I hate? What movie should I pick? Should it be Matrix 2? Should it be Matrix 3? Should it be Matrix 4? Should it be Speed Racer? Should it be Cloud Atlas? How about all of them, George? Every single one that I listed, and they released since that movie. They have released nothing. Nothing. You lose, sir. You lose. Ma'am, I don't like any of your movies since then. I haven't seen anything that they released that have been like, hey, that's pretty good. They've kind of bounced back a little bit. There's been no bounce back. It's just like swirling left and right. It's like, who did you steal Matrix from? Because clearly that's not the same filmmaker that did all these other ones. You ruined the Matrix trilogy.
They blew their load right off the bat.
Yeah. What about V for Vendetta? You didn't like that movie?
V for Vendetta was good. It was good. I didn't love it. It was good. So you're right. Okay. But like, man, they've so many bad movies since then, and like atrocious movies. Cloud Atlas was god awful. Speed Racer was just like ripping my eyes out of how bad it was. So trying to be a Sin City. Oof. No. No.
No choice. I would have gone probably Matrix 3, but I can't argue with the other movies either.
I would have Matrix 4 probably. I don't hate the Matrix 2 or 3 as much as the other films. I think it's still fun to watch at least. But 4, ooh, that I think that one pissed off me and Jen together. We watched that together and just like, what the, like I thought Jen was gonna flip a table.
You're like, 4 can't be as bad as 3, right? 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 You're not answering me here. Come on. Right? Is it?
I think the only reason I didn't choose Matrix 4 is because supposedly they purposely made that movie bad because
They didn't want to make a sequel, right?
They didn't want to make it, and their hand kind of got forced because they
Yeah.
were like, if not, we're gonna have it made without you. So they were like, oh, okay. And that's why I didn't put that in there, because I was like, okay, this movie seems like an FU to WB.
And to us, the
And to
watchers.
us.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wasted my
And to-
money in the theaters for that one.
Oh, damn. No,
Oh, damn! You went to the theater?
I HBO Max that.
Yeah.
Wait. On part 4 or part 3?
Part 4.
Oh yeah, 4. I didn't know. I HBO Max that. I was
Yeah.
not gonna. No, I didn't go to theaters. Come on.
I'm surprised that I thought you were gonna do Spielberg.
Oh, what movie?
But what bad movie does he have?
Crystal Skull?
Yeah, but I didn't. Yeah, I dislike it, but I don't hate it just because it's still Indiana Jones.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat.
That's
I
the
think,
only
and
thing.
because of the dial of the Destiny bullcrap, for me it gave me an appreciation for Crystal Skull.
Yeah, I did a little bit. It was funny though when we talked about this. I was trying to argue, and I went back and I was like, "Man, King of the Crystal Skull, it does still kind of feel a little bit like it's got some little indie
Yeah.
moments in there."
It's like
Dial of Destiny did not
at
at
least
all.
Spielberg directed it. I go back to that movie now. It's like at least he
Yeah.
directed it. God damn.
Yeah.
If someone else did this, it'd be really
The
bad.
the only one I could think of is I know Spielberg did that war one, that comedy that he did, but I never saw that one. That one's regarded as like
1941?
his. Yeah, that one's regarded as like his worst, but in fairness, I've never seen it. So
Crystal Skull is basically texting your ex like, I was wrong.
you go back and you get the
Yeah.
clap.
You want to
You
meet
still got
up?
the clap. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. But all right, so on that note, thank you for watching another episode of Not a Strong Start. Please like, subscribe, comment, share on the YouTube channel, Not a Strong Start. Please love our channel. Don't hate it. And you can follow us on Instagram and Twitter, Not a Strong Start. I'm your host. It's you, not me. You can follow me at King_Sangre.
I am not your host. No, it's me. And you can find me at This Is Me Nombre on Instagram.
And I'm your other guy. No, it's you. And you can follow me at Nicolopolis, wherever Nicolopolises are sold.